So everyone thinks that, you know what, I can do it myself. I can figure this out. And it's sort of led to this like massive misinformation sort of world that we live in, that you can't weed out what's real and what's not real. Like 85% or 90% of people under 25 are getting their financial advice from TikTok. And I think that remains true. I mean, are they really like realizing that maybe this is a bad idea? Because I mean, there is some content on those platforms that are actually good. It's just, I think the problem is that how do you know what's good and what's bad? How are you able to weed out the flowers from the weeds? And what would you say to someone like, how do I measure? I hear someone, he has 2 million followers. I hear somebody else, he has 5,000 followers. How do I know that what he's saying makes sense? How do I?
Well, I mean, like anything else, like, if I'm going to spend $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 on a car, research it. You know, like you would look it up. You would try and see what are comparable models. You would do the research that you can do online, going through Google, visiting other locations, and kind of doing different test drives and so on and so forth. I'm referencing cars. I'm not really a car buff. I'm just going to preface that with that. But you know, people becoming more financially literate from reliable sources will increasingly allow them to make better decisions and to help them decipher the good from the bad in terms of information that's being shared out there. And you know, by and large, I've never done a cold call in my life in this industry. So, you know, for anyone who's listening, who's like wondering how one goes from zero to where we're at now, it's rooted in financial literacy. We give lectures. We run like curriculums, clinics. We'll call them whatever we need to call them in order to get people into a place where they can hear perspectives from people who are obviously professionals in their industry, and to help them kind of weed out some of the noise that they're getting when they're at home or they're on, you know, their devices and so on. Yeah. So being more financially literate, I think, is going to help a lot of that.
Depending on what region you live, do you think verifying that the person that's giving this advice has certain designations or is licensed, or is licensing, you know, I mean, because there are some brilliant people out there in business or even in investing that aren't necessarily licensed that are able to do great things. And so you can maybe listen to them or an individual, a young person can listen to them and get good advice. But again, this person is not licensed. He's not supposed to be giving that advice. I mean, there's all kinds of regulatory issues around this. But how do you, like, you know, I guess my point is that many people are gravitating towards the sort of do-it-yourself model. Like, you know, well, Google, I'll listen to a couple of YouTubers, I'll listen to this, I'll listen to that, and you know what, I could figure this out. Like you said, we're being bombarded with information. Everyone's a doctor now. I speak to our many doctors that are and specialists that see clients, and everyone comes in already with a self-diagnostic that was aided by Google and a variety of websites and applications. So everyone thinks that, you know what, I can do it myself. I can figure this out. And it's sort of led to this like massive misinformation sort of world that we live in, that you can't weed out what's real and what's not real. So how do you sort of figure that out in investing? Like I hear like research it, but like more specifically, should they be contacting someone that's licensed in their area? Should they be going to see humans? Should we move away from this automation of trying to do it yourself and staying at home in your basement, listening to videos and saying, you know what, I'm good to go. Let's throw $100,000 at this. I mean, what's the solution?
You know, I think that the industry itself is also going through
disruption.
Quite a bit of disruption, and part of that has to do even with the credentials that people carry and what they're able to speak to, and maybe what type of company they're at and what they're able to offer you, being more transparent and so on and so forth. So even that I would take with a grain of salt,
because even people that are licensed or regulated doesn't mean they're doing necessarily a great job.
Unfortunately, you know what I mean. So you know, I would say, counting solely on the fact that somebody has credentials after their name or has a designation after their name, I think it's a good start. But again, I would take a sample, right? I would ask for a referral, a reference, somebody who has dealt with somebody in a similar situation to yourself, right? And a similar experience, and what was the outcome? Like, you almost have to go back to that personal route where
get referrals.
Get referrals. I mean,
Google them as well. double check what the advice they're giving you. Basically, challenge. Don't accept whatever someone's proposing to you on straight up.
The first thing you receive.
Yeah.